Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Friday edition of Renegade Wrestling. I am your host, J.J. Williams. Thank you for joining me today. I apologize for this going up just a little bit later than normal because, well, I'm actually filming it as right now, like 9:30 in the morning, so gonna get straight to the questions today. A couple of them I'm gonna put off to the side till Monday, just so that I make sure I've got stuff to cover then. Matt Adams asks, "Hey JJ, since it's hardly defended on either pay-per-view or television, do you think it's time to disband the United States Championship?" No, not yet. The only reason I feel it's not being defended on pay-per-view or television that much is because they're not putting it on a strong enough champion. I love Antonio Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, but they haven't put it on a champion that people will pay to see in a long time. They need to put the United States championship on a guy like a Wade Barrett, on a guy like a Drew McIntyre, on a guy like even Daniel Bryan right now, since he's not really in the world title hunt anymore. A credible champion that people want to see fight on a regular basis. Nobody cares about Antonio Cesaro. Nobody cares about Santino Marella. Nobody cares anymore about Zack Ryder. So these guys don't get the television time. People do care about Sin Cara. People do care about R-Truth. People do care about Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett. Like I said, put it on one of those guys and it'll start getting defended on TV and pay-per-view a lot more. But you don't want to completely get rid of it, because then the brand that it belongs to won't have a secondary championship. And you need the IC and the US titles around to be able to groom people for the WWE and World Heavyweight Title Championship. Ricky Lawson says, "Hey JJ, I read online that Vince is really high on Daniel Bryan, and after he's done working with Kane, he's reportedly in line for a big singles push. My question is, do you think he should be a heel or babyface during this run? And should WWE have him going after the WWE title or the world title?" Well, I would say keep him heel as long as they change his heel shtick. Because the whole no, 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 yes, yes, yes thing is fucking retarded. So if they're not going to change the shtick, make him babyface. Because he's an awesome, aggressive babyface. He does it better than Sheamus does it. He does it better than Orton does it. He's a really good, aggressive, and intense babyface. And I'd have him go after the WWE title, especially if Punk is still holding it, because I think their rivalry and feud could definitely squeeze a few more good matches out of it. Those are from Facebook. Over on YouTube, Ishida, ISHIDA 1017, writes, "Hey JJ, should WWE bring back the hardcore title with the 24/7 rule for all the unused talent like they did before?" At this time, no. Unless they were to go back to a TV 14 format, no. Because you can't have the hardcore title in the PG era. How do you have a PG hardcore match with the 24/7 rule? Just would be retarded. Every match would be in like a fun house, like when Crash Holly fought the Mean Street Posse. And that would be dumb. You know, a PG hardcore match, what are we going to do? Go to freaking Disney World? Magic Mountain? You know, Six Flags? Universal Studios? Santa's Village? Seriously. A PG hardcore match. Are we going to use the newest WWE Rumbler as a weapon? The Brawlin' Buddies? We going to have a food fight in the backstage area, like when freaking Matt Striker got pie-faced? Is that what a PG hardcore match is going to be? It's a bad idea unless WWE goes back to the TV-14 format, bottom line. I do think there needs to be another title for those people that aren't on the ICUS level. European title, Internet Championship that Zack Ryder has. Make it a legal, recognized title by the WWE. I mean, hell, the WWE Elite action figure for Zack Ryder came with the belt for the Internet Championship. Recognize it. And you got a belt for Superstars. You got a belt for NXT. You got another championship for those internet shows that can be used a la the European or hardcore title. Red 56 Reigns writes, "Hey JJ, maybe it's me being an older wrestling fan, but here's my question. As much of a Shawn Michaels fan as I was, I can't say that I totally agree with the statement that he was the, quote, greatest in-ring performer of all time. I would say Savage myself. See Savage vs. Warriors SummerSlam match, which I believe is way better than Michaels and Hogan's match. Anyway, who would you say is the greatest in-ring performer of all time?" Well, interesting that I'm getting this question answered here today on the 15th anniversary of the Survivor Series screw job. Quick shout out to the girls, Chicks on Wrestling. If you haven't checked out their episode from yesterday yet, pause my video, open theirs up in another window, watch it, and then once you're done with that, come back and resume my video. I'll wait. Alright, now that you're back, hopefully you enjoyed that. Shawn Michaels is a great in-ring performer. It would be very hard for me to pick the greatest in-ring performer of all time, because there's quite a few of them out there that I think can lay claim to that title. Ric Flair is one of them. Shawn Michaels is definitely one of them. Bret Hart is definitely one of them. Hell, just about anybody with the name Hart in their name has a worthy claim. Owen. Not really Anvil. He was a decent brawler, but he was far from a great technician. Savage is definitely in there. Great in-ring worker. Steamboat. I think it would be easier to say who the worst in-ring performer of all time is than it would be to name a greatest, but Michaels, Savage, Steamboat, Bret, Flair, probably in my mind the top 5 greatest in-ring performers of all time. What do y'all out there think? Let me know. Leave your comments in the comment box, put video responses. Nappy 1987 says, during commentary, JBL said Antonio Cesaro is a throwback wrestler. Do you agree, and who else reminds you of a throwback wrestler? If you meant by throwback wrestler old school style, which I'm assuming he did, well then let's see, Daniel Bryan. I still remember to this day hearing Matt Striker say on commentary, everybody forgets that the second W in WWE stands for wrestling, and that is what Daniel Bryan represents. So Daniel Bryan is definitely a throwback wrestler. CM Punk can be when he wants to. Cody Rhodes. Over on the TNA side of things, Bobby Roode really strikes me as an old school style wrestler, especially post Beer Money. He kind of looked like one during the Beer Money eras, but and even Team Canada era, but he's really come into his own and stepped up more into a throwback wrestler type of role since the breakup of Beer Money. Steve Corino was always kind of a throwback wrestler. That's why in ECW he was dubbed the King of Old School. There's just a few names right there for you, Nappy. I drink lots of beer. Probably my favorite YouTube username. What? Hey JJ, huge fan of you from just across the Atlantic in the Emerald Isle. My question to you is, had WCW not signed Hogan in the mid-90s, do you think the NWO would have been a success with another big name like Savage, Steen, or maybe Luger as the leader? Also, would any of those choices made sense at the time? No, I don't think it would have been as big with any of those as the leader, because all of those guys were members of the NWO at some point, and by the time that at least Luger and Steen became parts of it, the NWO was already starting to flounder. Savage came in and the NWO was still thriving, but I don't think the NWO would have been as successful with Savage as the leader of it. The only one that would have made sense at the time to be leader out of the three you named was Steen, because he was the only other one that was solid babyface for pretty much his entire career, that turning heel and joining the NWO might have given him like a fresh start for, and being there along with Nash and Hall. He's the only other one where the heel turn that Hogan originally made would have made sense for, but I don't think it would have been as successful with Steen as the leader. I mean, hell, Steen was the leader of the Main Event Mafia. Look at how long that lasted. It had a decent run, but it was nowhere near as successful and didn't last near as long as the NWO did. And the last question for today comes from Longhorn fan 11,000. If these superstars were champions by late 2013, would I be disappointed? World Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler, WWE Champion Antonio Cesaro, US Champion Cody Rhodes, IC Champion Damien Sandow, and the World Tag Team Champions Primetime Players. I like all the people that you've got there with the belts. The only thing I would change at this current point in time, projecting for 2013, is I would flip Cesaro and Cody. I would have Cody with one of the big two belts and Cesaro with one of the IC or the US belts. In this case, Cody would get bumped up to the WWE title and Cesaro would get dropped to the US title. Which, again, if I was jockeying it a little bit, I'd probably have Cody with the World Heavyweight title, honestly, because that's the belt that his daddy wore. And I'd have Dolph with the WWE title, because at the end of the day, the World Heavyweight title is just the old WCW belt. Getting a hold of the WWE title shows that Vince actually thinks of something of you. And since he's already US, I would maybe put Cesaro with the IC, so it's a belt that he hadn't held as of yet, and give Sandow the US title. So that's just how I would jockey him around a little bit, but the 5 people that you listed off to be champions with the gold, I totally agree with, and I would not be disappointed whatsoever. I would love that. So, that is it for this second edition of Renegade Wrestling for this week. I am your host, JJ Williams, and I will see you next time right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel.